Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Settle in because we're in for a fantastic night of racing. We head over to the Americas as our European leg ends. It is round 6 of the ACER Malta GT3 Championship, and we get set around the brilliant Laguna Seca Raceway. Ignore the video there on the right hand side, but you're focusing that one on the left. The circuit, 3.6 kilometers, 11 turns, over 50 55 meters of elevation changes. And well, we are in for an absolutely fantastic night of racing. Really looking forward to getting into this. Of course, James also will be here in a couple of moments time, a couple of personal issues happening on his side, but let's focus up on what we have in store for the calendar. So we had Zandvoort to get us kicked off in that European stages, followed by Spielberg, the Red Bull Ring, which was a fantastic outing. Then we headed to the more quieter Paul Ricard circuit before heading over to the two legs in Spain, the Circuit Ricardo Tormo and the Circuit de Catalunya. Then we head over to America for the Laguna Seca Raceway. Really excited to get into that before we head to Watkins Glen and Circuit of the Americas. So cap off will be a brilliant second season of the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. This was the results after last round. Ryan Carabot to what we thought could have been a stumbling block after Ricardo Tormo. He regains and finds his form once again in that brilliant Ford Mustang. He finishes ahead of Sean Cassar, who will be ahead of Adrian Manduca, second in the championship. Was very much hopeful for Adrian Manduca, but again he'll stay second for now. Denzel Adges ahead of Nicholas Holmberg, with Daryl Martinelli and Dominic Zimmerman, James Smith followed by Robin Barwin, with Maya Lafella rounding out the top 10. And then we went over to Gabriel Quattromano with Johan Borg, Chris Gatt, Simon Barbara, and Linus Eriksson, and Mark D'Agostino, the only retiree of the very early stages in Barcelona. But you can see that pole position to Ryan Carabot, fastest lap to Ryan Carabot. It was absolute domination from the comes into fruition. There, in fact, is James Otter. He's now just arrived on the scene. But we were just speaking about Barcelona and how it's been a big affair in the title race. It has been a pretty good season. Welcome in, James Otter.
Yeah, thank you very much for being alongside me for this one, Adam. Apologies, everyone, for the slight delays in this one, but we should be in for an absolute cracker. Laguna Seca. First off, obviously, our stint over in the Americas now. The infamous corkscrew is one of my favourite corners, I think, across all of the calendar in the ACER ACC Malta GT3 Championship. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the drivers have got. But in terms of the season, yeah, it's been an absolute cracker of a season. But Carabot's certainly got that sort of firm hold now, especially after that bounce back, of course, at the circuit from the circuit Ricardo Tormo. So certainly looking forward to seeing what the American stint has got for our championship leader and, of course, all of the other fielders out there.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be a pretty good affair, I think. We do see probably about, I guess, about 7 left in the title race, and even then that could very much easily get shut down. So just kind of thinking ahead into this, Adrian Manduca and Sean Cassar have been in very good form. They've been switching second and third places, with Adrian Manduca managing to get that win at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo. But with them being at 100% podium record, they'll want to continue this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we should be in for an absolute cracker nonetheless. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing all of the drivers making their way, I think, going into the Andretti hairpin at the start of this race, because it's such a wide corner, isn't it? So many cars can fit around there. So this may be the one that sets the precedent rolling, tries to say, let's go for it. Let's try and throw some challenges in there now. And let's really push to see if we can take some potentially shock positions, shock race wins, maybe even put Carabot under pressure.
a shock they will look to do as we head in towards our break. But first of all, a big thank you to our collaborators, Hyundai, Intercomp, Monsters Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and especially thank you for being with us on this production by Velocity Esports Racing. We'll see you in just a moment over on the other side, but until then, we have qualifying very, very soon. Don't go away. Welcome back to the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. We're about to head into this qualifying session, but first of all, let's talk qualifying, because there's only been one man that has been dominating these qualifying sessions. His name is Ryan Carabot. 4 of 5 pole positions this season, and it's a streak is going to be one to keep up here.
Yeah, Maduka's been hot on his heels, but just unfortunately at the end of it all, it's the man that's the championship leader that's just always seemed to have the little bit of the edge at the moment on the Ferrari man. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to manage the 11-turn circuit that is the Laguna Seca Raceway. Of course, the first of the many American circuits that we're going to be taking a trip in this final stint of the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this particular challenge.
It will definitely be a big challenge for him. Again, Adrian Manduka has just been matching him, but he's been kind of, on the front row alongside him, and that's not where he wants to be. He wants to be on pole position, and so far, every single pole sitter has gone on to take the race win. So that would be a massive thing to keep an eye out for. See if that trend continues, or B, that streak gets broken. Again, Adrian Manduka has taken pole position before, but it's all the way back at Ricardo Tormo where he went on to win that one. He will be very much really interested to see if he can potentially take that one. But again, don't count out the likes of Sean Cassar and Denzel Adjis. They'll be hot on the heels, and especially if that car is really working out well for them around the Laguna Seca circuit, they will definitely take something. They will try and just pinch an advantage from somewhere on the lap and absolutely run a mile with it.
Yeah, not much in the way of slow speed corners around here either, because it's the majority of it is basically the medium speed corners. You're only really going slow at the Andretti hairpin, and if I think about it, to be honest with you, the corkscrew and turn 11, that's about it. Everything is medium speed corners, and the GT3 cars especially, you can go straight at quite a good chunk of corners. So this should be an absolute cracker here tonight as well. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how these cars handle. And look at this, we're in the wet as well. How are they going to handle these conditions, would you suspect here, unless this is the qualifying? It is the qualifying with 8 and a bit minutes to go. In the wet, around a corner, which you actually drop 5 stories in just a few seconds here, Adam. So, yeah, should be an absolute cracker, this one, especially in the wet now.
Oh, it's going to be an absolute corker, I think. The rain just really mixes up these kind of conditions as well. So you'll definitely be keeping your toes on for the majority of this run. And you're just seeing there, Ryan Carabot, the 4 out of 5 time pole sitter. You're seeing him right in front of your screen as he runs his way on towards the next sequence of corners. That Ford Mustang will be hoping to run pretty good here. He's still running in the right at the top, you can see there. But overall, he's just a little bit off the pace, but he loves a good surprise in the last minute or so. He's done it before. He'll not be afraid to do it again. But you just kind of wonder, in GT3 racing, is this kind of an equalizer? Will the rain, or will it kind of maybe help a certain car out, or maybe make a disadvantage out of a certain car?
Great question, that. The front-wheel drive and the four-wheel drive cars tend to be better in the wet than the rear-wheel drive cars. So anyone that's fielding a rear-wheel drive car may find themselves struggling a little bit. And if my mind is right on this one, I think the rear-wheel drive cars are the Lamborghinis and the McLarens. I think the front and the Ferraris. I think the front-wheel drive cars are the Ford Mustangs and the BMWs. So and the Aston Martins. I think they're not. In fact, the Aston Martin is a rear-wheel drive car as well, actually. So the majority of the cars on the circuit here are probably going to be rear-wheel drive. So that will only probably play into the advantage of the championship leader, who is driving in the Ford Mustang, I suspect.
Yeah, it could definitely be a mission as well. But here comes Adrian Manduka as he approaches that very, very famous first one or two corners here at Laguna Seca, which you could definitely see a little bit of carnage happening, and especially in the wet conditions. Pit exit is so challenging. I can't tell you how many times that I've managed to, whatever game it's been, Forza Motorsport, ACC. AC, as I said, you're always going to go straight on at that pit exit. It's kind of a habit it becomes. But hopefully these drivers are a bit more skilled than I am to be able to avoid moments like that. As Manduka heads his way into that very difficult corner. It's such a difficult corner, as it kind of cambers in towards the corner, and you've got a very, very narrow runoff as well, because if you overstep the mark, you're going straight into a gravel trap. There's a lot of gravel traps around here at the Laguna Seca circuit. I think more sand traps, in all honesty. Let's see what the Ferrari can do. The track continues to just get more wetter and wetter and wetter. Will it maybe clear up for very, very soon? It might do. Ryan Carabot goes to the top of the standings here in his Ford Mustang. So that's something we've missed. But can Adrian Manduka maybe make a reply on that? It does not look like it. The Ferrari will stay in second. Sean Cassar third. Denzel Adge there in P4. And all McLaren's second row. Mark D'Agostino after his DNF at Ricardo Barcelona, my apologies. He is back racing and up into that top five. Great stuff from him.
Quick correction on this one as well, because I've just done a little bit of digging around as well. All GT3 car regulations indicate that they must all be rear-wheel drive. So all of these cars are rear-wheel drive, which is obviously going to offer a further challenge. But where the engine is placed is a different ball game. If it's in the rear, then you're planting all of your power at the rear, which actually should give you more traction when you apply your rear spoiler, as they're now following D'Agostino through the corkscrew again. Oh wow, a corner that you can really get wrong if you really spits you out wide if you get wrong, as actually he's going to slow down and give that one straight back to Cassar, who's very close indeed, straight into the pits then for D'Agostino. So yeah, it's not necessarily about the drivetrain. They should all be rear-wheel drive, but where the engine is placed could also help people. If you've got a front engine car like the Mustang, actually you could be at a disadvantage. So actually, in complete contradiction to what I said earlier, Carabot might actually be under a little bit more pressure in the Mustang around this particular circuit in the wet. That so far seems to be swallowing up all of these challenges, no issue whatsoever, because he's still leading.
Yeah, he is a man on the mission at the moment. He really kind of said that in the driving. Both of them really on the absolute limit, and absolutely giving it their all, working overtime. And someone else that's working overtime is my electric blanket that I've covered over me. It's getting chilly out there. It's getting very, very chilly. So the electric blanket's having to come out the cupboard. Meanwhile, Ryan Carabot with less than 3.5 minutes to go, it's an absolute roar as that V8 Mustang engine just continues to power its way up the hill.
Yeah, so this is where it's all going to be now about for the Ford Mustang. Will he be able to have the traction going through the corkscrew, going through there? The infamous corner, of course, where we saw in the old kart series, actually, good old Alex Zanardi making the pass of the century at that corkscrew, I think back in 1996, if I'm not mistaken. Chucking the car through this right-hander then of turn 10, and then heading through into turn 11. Now, make note, I am saying that this is 11 corner circuit, because corkscrew technically is 8 and 8A. Make note of that one. As he chucks the car down towards the start finishing line, we'll see if he sets himself a lap time that is close to the fastest. In fact, it is his best lap time so far, 1:28.070. Where is Manduka in all of that one in comparison? 28.070 is where he was, where he has. He's coming across the line right now. 1:28.3 is where he goes with a 1:27.797. He now goes fastest of anyone so far, and now he's unleashing the nature of the Ferrari.
Yeah, now it's going to be a really difficult thing to do because you've got 2 minutes left in qualifying. You know how quick your title rival is. It's just about trying to see if you can dig out any little bit of time. But of course, by doing that, you're going to be risking over pushing the car and potentially pitting it into a spin. It's also got a bit of trouble there because that is Nicholas Holmberg just in front of him, and Holmberg will move aside in his Ford Mustang for the Lizard Racing team. He's sat all the way down in 13th. That's a massive surprise. He's had a fantastic season so far. Through 3 top fives during the course of this season. There's only one time outside of the top 10, and that was a 17th back at Spielberg. So yeah, hopefully this won't be a
off you goes.
Yeah, that's in the barrier. So
oh, we got another one as well. Lafurla. Is that Lafurla going wide as well? I'm not sure. Someone straight into the wall. We've seen plenty of people really struggling at this corner. Is Zimmerman going to do the same? No. The Lamborghini actually looking relatively decent down the corkscrew. Sorry to interrupt on that one, but people already started to struggle now as they tried to push for their final laps.
Yeah, Robin Barwin that was in his BMW, so he's gone round. He's transported himself back to the pits. He won't get another lap here. And Dominic Zimmerman slows up. He said there's nothing else I can do here unless he's going for another lap here and just trying to get the best out of the conditions, but it continues to just spray down on the circuit. Sean Cassart in the pits, Denzel Agis in the pits. Here comes Dominic Zimmerman hoping to get another lap out of this one. And then around the final corner is another car just approaching us. We'll see who that is in a minute. That looks like Mark D'Agostino.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Ryan Carabot as well. D'Agostino absolutely spot on, 29.250. That is his fastest lap, but stays up in P5, does the Pro-Am driver, the only Pro-Am driver here. Where's Ryan Carabot? He is just approaching the corkscrew now, as the checker flag will be waving by the time that he gets there. A little bit more on the conservative approach here from Carabot, actually. Not looking like the Aversio Ford Mustang is going to be getting anywhere near the fastest lap times, I suspect. Is he on a slow lap, I wonder? Manduka is looking uber quick, though, but we'll see where Carabot comes. Is he diving into the pit lane? He is. So that is the end of qualifying for Carabot. Our championship leader won't be on pole, but he's still on the front row as it stands here, unless D'Agostino can pull something out of the bag, or maybe even Jamie Smith. Where's Manduka? Is Manduka going to improve on his lap? Remember, 27.7 is where he managed to set his fastest lap. Is he going to prove even further, I wonder? He is now at turn 11 here, so we'll see if his next lap is his fastest lap, because that would be an absolute cracker indeed from the man who comes across the line right now. Will he improve on this lap? In fact, he will not. He's actually down by just a tenth of a second, but nonetheless, it won't matter. He is on pole position. I did say Manduka has been breathing down the neck of our championship sitter, and look at that one. Absolutely fabulous indeed. Is D'Agostino going to be improving on his 29.2? I don't think so. We'll see if he dives to the right-hand side. No, he is going to try and complete this lap here. He'll be trying to put Martinelli and Agius under some kind of pressure here. Will the Intercomp McLaren, but we'll see if there's going to be any kind of improvement. He's the last person to be setting any kind of representative lap as he comes across the line right now, and he will stay in P6, 1.4 seconds back from Manduka. Manduka on pole by just under 0.3 of a second. Good lap from the Ferrari.
Oh, that's going to be a big spicy moment there for Adrian Manduka. A fantastic lap at the wet to be able to put himself onto a very competitive pole position. Now, if we're thinking about what the streak is looking like so far, he could close that 25-point lead, but again, it'll only go down to 19 points with 2 rounds to go. That's not quite what you're going to be wanting here. So unless Ryan Carabot does make a mistake, Yeah, he's still got a whole job to do with 45 minutes are going to be set on the clock ahead of this race here, round 6 of Laguna Seca.
Oh yeah, and remember as well, of course, the track may dry up, so we should be in for an absolute cracker of a race if the track does dry up, because everyone has now got to adjust for a completely different feeling circuit. The track might not be as green, or it might rain even more. As it stands so far, California is showing that the racing conditions actually is getting a little bit more on the tastier side here tonight, Adam.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But we'll see you in just a moment before we then head into the 45 minutes for round 6 of the championship at Laguna Seca. And welcome back to the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. We are moments away from the drop of the green flag here ahead of the WeatherTech Laguna Seca Raceway. I'm Adam Reed, alongside me, James Otter for tonight. We are in for an absolute thriller around this incredible, legendary circuit. What are your thoughts here, James? It's a wet condition. We've got two Project Diversios on the front row. Both of them the championship contender. Anything can happen from here.
Yeah, good evening, Adam. Good evening, everyone. We should be in for an absolute cracker of a race here. It's absolutely pouring it down here in California tonight. So Manduka is going to be leading the way in the wet and putting a bunch of spray in the back of everyone for the next 45 minutes of this race, assuming that the rainy conditions do liven up. But one thing is for certain, that's going to make some really, intense racing ahead of us here tonight. Because, of course, at this circuit, at the Fort Ord, I'll get it out eventually, the old military base, of course, it's not really known, to be able to sort of wash up all of this rain. So even if the rain does, lift off a little bit, it's going to take a while for this track to dry out. So actually, this race is going to be a little bit more on the spicier affair, and who knows, maybe one of the McLarens could start putting the pressure on our championship leader.
Yeah, indeed. So much that can happen over the course of the next 45 minutes. And we'll see how they all start here. Adrian Manduka will be on that pole position with Ryan Carabot, who will be alongside him. Sean Cassar will be in P3 ahead of Denzel Agius. Then we find Daryl Martinelli, who will line up in 5th place. Then we have Mark D'Agostino, followed by Dominic Zimmerman. He'll be alongside James Smith with Johan Borch and Robin Barwin, who had their incident in qualifying session. And then we head into Gabriel Quattromani, Nick Ice, who will start all the way down in 12th place, one of his lowest qualifying positions this season. Maya Lafella, Chris Gatt and Simon Barbara. 3 McLarens rounding off the grid. So maybe the McLarens just aren't quite there in these wet conditions. So we'll have to see how that all pans out. But we get set for a brand new scene, a very wet, dismal Laguna Seca circuit. What will the legendary racetrack bring to us? 45 minutes on the clock, 2 championship leaders away. Hopefully no carnage in the background that we can barely see because of the spray. We go racing now in Laguna Seca, and the drop of the green goes, and in towards turn 1, it's looking like Adrian Manduka will lead the way, but where will Ryan Carabot go? He's in towards the first corner, a little bit wide from a couple of drivers there. Cassar has managed to sneak in here. Can he grab second away? He's going to be pushed to that outside line, but he's going to find any grip somewhere in that McLaren, but it's gone sideways through the corner and ducks underneath the Ford Mustang. Meanwhile, the drivers falls all the way down and still trying to find whatever grip they possibly can. They're probably feeling ice underneath their wet compound tire. Daryl Martinelli has put himself and his Ferrari up to 4th place here, and they'll work their way up the hill. Manduka leads this one from Carabot. A mandatory pit stop will be the memo here for the entire field, but how would that all play out?
I tell you what, Carabot's a very lucky boy. He didn't actually get a penalty for that race start, to be honest with you. Going out wide there, I believe, was one of the cars. I can't see which one it was, but it might have been Gabriel Quattromani, actually, in the Rusty's 95 444 Ferrari, going very wide. Oh, we've got a spinner. Someone's got out spin. Oh, we've got another one going for a spin as well. Look at that. Chris Gatt going for a real spin as well. People really struggling off camber, going down the corkscrew in these heavy wet conditions. It's Daryl Martinelli who's gone for a spin, and he's gone for another spin as well, trying to get his car back on circuit. He's now down well at the back of the field, actually, is the man doing really well in the midfield of this championship, but he's now all the way down to the back in P15. Isaac Barbara getting the move done on Johan Borg. He's then up to P14. Back to the midfield, though. Nick Ice, James Smith going in for a little bit of a scrap themselves here. James Smith, look at him in the over 40s club, battling with the LRT Lizard Racing Team driver in the Ford Mustang. We expect the Mustang to not be particularly potent with that front wing. You can see, look at it, as he tries to get the power down. There's no power. All the power on the front of the car means he can't anchor it into the rear wheels of the rear wheel drive nature of these GT3 cars. So Nick Ice up to P7, but overtaken by the over 40 club driver, that is James Smith, who's looking like he's having a bit of a decent start to this race in the Aston Martin.
Yeah, they're all still trying to work out the conditions there. James Smith continues to power his Aston Martin V8 advantage up the road. He's really trying to make a gap here on Nicholas Holmberg. Holmberg, as I said, started all the way down in P12. He's managed to put it and push himself up into P7. Behind him has been in following Maya Lafella. She started in 13th, so really mastered, well, I wouldn't say mastered the conditions, but has made really, really good gains, and, you know, smart gains, I'd say, is the right terminology to use there, because they both kind of tiptoed their way through the rain, through all the carnage, with the likes of Martinelli and Gatto have gone round. Some drivers still haven't got used to how these conditions work, but we're really pushing on here in the opening first 5 minutes, and it's been pretty much non-stop action.
Yeah, people that are trying their hardest to just manage the conditions out there at the moment. It's just very, very, ultimately, an extremely aggressive situation out there at the moment, because the track conditions are not great. Here's Johan Bog getting into a battle with Gabriel Quattromani in the Ferrari. As the other over 40s club now, obviously behind James Smith in P12, looking to try and take P11 out of the hands of the Ferrari. And it looks like the Aston Martin has found the pace and found exactly what he needs to put Quattromani under pressure. But a nice little switchback from the Ferrari will keep the Aston Martin under pressure as it goes around the corner of turn number four, as they'll now head to 5, line astern as they now approach the corner. Usually the person on the outside will have the better advantage, but in these rainy, wet conditions, there goes the Aston Martin. Switchback there from the Ferrari, not going to help him because he's now off of the corner, and here comes the battle here with the Barbara there, as it looks like it's a decent effort here for Simon Barbara, but getting squeezed off of the circuit as Chris Gatt will overtake him as he goes for a spin himself.
Yep, not ideal there. I think just got caught out onto that gravel trap, trying to put a boot sort of throttle through the rear tyres, and they just said no. You know, you can't really do that on a gravel surface, and it's so difficult. You're seeing there Gabriel Quattromani still working away, but we switch back here to Denzel Agius, who's losing a little bit of touch through that front three, but he is holding off Mark D'Agostino. So if they can just continue in this kind of trajectory, I think that would be a really, really good way to go for the McLarens. They've been working really, really well throughout all of this. We'll have to see how they all turn out here. Looking back here, Dominic Zimmerman, I think it's just past Robin Barwen, as Barwen looked to go wide into that first corner. I think he may have just held on to that position. No, that's Nick Ice, sorry. Nick Ice has now dropped down to 9, so he's obviously gone wide. Maya Lafella taking that place, so is Dominic Zimmerman, and now he's just dropping a little bit back. I'm not sure if that Ford Mustang is liking these conditions at the moment.
Yeah, Karabot's doing a decent effort to hold on, actually, for P2 in that Ford Mustang, but you can see he's losing time now to Adrian Manduka as Sean Cassar will continue putting pressure. Great effort from the Pro-Am driver of D'Agostino in P5, by the way. Really good effort from him so far in this race, but fair play to Maya Lafella. She's absolutely owned that McLaren 720S, and actually it's just driving around this, no issue whatsoever. And now up to P7 from a lowly starting position. She will now try to chase down the over 40 club driver of James Smith.
Yeah, she will do. I think that gap is, of course, it doesn't seem to be pretty
James
big.
Smith! Wow! Ooh, what a drift around that final corner. How has he managed to keep that on the circuit? It's not the quickest to do it, but it's certainly the coolest. Sorry to interrupt.
No. I didn't quite notice that at all. So you were the first one to see it more first from me. But that gap will now close. Is he there? Maya Lafella in the Project Aversio caped car right there, almost starting to fill the mirrors up of the Aston Martin drivers. So I definitely think that will be something to keep an eye out for. That's a battle that's going to be brewing, and if Maya Lafella, I think, can take this, she's on for a best finish of the season. Of course, that was 8th place back at Paul Ricard, but if she can come here and take a 6th place finish in what is only her 5th start of this campaign, I think that would be absolutely mighty from her. That would be a fantastic piece of work. We now look back here to Nicholas Holmberg as he continues to try and push on and see if he can get some places back here. But again, I think he's been overtaken here by, that seems to be. No, Johan Borg in front of him is. Has he dropped back? He has dropped back further, I think. Whoops, Robin Barr went.
Yeah, problem for Barven, as that's offered an opportunity for Johan Borg to get that move done in the over 40s club here. The Lizard Racing Team driver of Robin Barven not finding comfort at the moment in the BMW, so they're on a little bit wider to get, as I said, actually getting his best Alex Zanardi impression there back from 1996 in the old kart series going around there, but it's not the fastest way around the corkscrew, well, rather through the corkscrew, if we're all honest here. Johan Borg taking that position right out of his hands, and he will now be up to P9. Nick Ice, though, in P11, really now make it P12 for that matter. Make that P13 as Quattromani and Martinelli making their moves. These conditions not suiting Nick Ice at all. We know that the Ford Mustang is not particularly great in these conditions generally anyway, but Nick Ice, I think, generally is starting to struggle in these conditions here, and he really wishes that this could dry up quickly. But even with all those puddles, look at that, all those puddles now around the gravel traps at the moment, even if it was to finish raining around here, one has a feeling that because of the nature of this circuit, the track is just not going to dry up before the checker flag comes out, so it should be an intense wet session all the way through for the next 35 minutes.
Yeah, there are kind of potential signs, but I think our clock in the top right, just under the Assetto, just above the Assetto Competizione logo, it's saying it's going to continue to be wet. I think that's going to be about 90% accurate. I think. Oh, contact! Johan Borg tried to go up the outside lane there of Robin Barwen, and Barwen just kind of give him a shoulder out of the way there at the corkscrew. That would have been a brilliant kind of replay if we could get that, but unfortunately we cannot. You have to go back into the kind of the YouTube rewind and just see, just have a look at a replay on your own from that point, because that was pretty bold. That's proper GT3 racing, I'd say.
Borg nearly doing that, actually. I keep mentioning it. It's nearly the Zanardi impression, actually, because Zanardi did exactly the same thing in 1996 when he sent it around the outside and cut the corner completely. It was legal back in 96, and no disrespect to Zanardi, it was a complete corner cut, but it was perfectly legal at the time, and that would have, if he made the move stick, that would have been a perfect impression actually of that Zanardi overtake. I think it's classified as the pass of the century, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, you could probably say that. Why not?
Robin!
Chris stepping out, but Johan Borg just finally got through. It was a lot easier than you probably hoped for, but an easy overtake in this sense is an easy overtake. Barwen's so lucky. I think he made a dip to wheel into the gravel, or just applied a bit too thought when even Borg doing that. I think that was Nick Ice who just went skating on through. Holberg, who's of course nicknamed Nick Ice in this one, has just gone straight on ahead of Daryl Martinelli. I thought Martinelli was going to go into the back of the Ford Mustang very, very soon, but yeah, he was very lucky to hold on to that one. But I think for a lot of these drivers, they're just trying to break with maybe the ABS or something along those lines. It's probably just really struggling to get it stopped, and it's almost like braking on ice, it seems.
Problem is that it's not just the raining conditions, but the track is quite cold. It's only 21 degrees Celsius out there at the moment, so at 21 Celsius with a 17-degree air temperature, the engines are doing absolutely fine, but the tyres are just not going to get warm. So yeah, they might have the wetter compounded tyres on at the moment, but the track conditions are greener than green, not just from a raining perspective, but from a temperature perspective as well. So it literally will feel like driving on Nick Ice, if you will. So it's just not great out there at the moment in terms of track evolution. It's not going to evolve at all throughout this race. Ryan Karabot, look at the amount of time that he's losing at the moment to Adrian Manduka. Manduka is just edging his way out of this particular race here, but Kassar, critically, is not really catching up either at the moment on Karabot. It seems like there's a bit of an accordion methodology happening at the moment where they all seem to be breathing out. Eventually they may squeeze back in, though, as we get towards the pit stops, probably within the next 15 or so minutes. Yellow flag's waving.
Yeah, that's going to be Johan Borg. Johan Borg, unfortunately, there has had a bit of a spin there. I think he may have clattered that inside curb up at the top of the hill. So if that is the case, then yeah, it's little bit of unfortunate events there. Robin Barwin, meanwhile, he's trying to just climb it back up. He's still in ninth. There's Maya Lafella. Let's have a look and see her progress, because she was sitting about a second and a half behind James Smith. Down in towards the first corner. Is Smith still there? Nope. He's managed to run off down the distance, I think. He's very much been able to push on forward and try and extend that gap to about maybe 4 seconds at least. Dominic Zimmerman is now going to be in chase of that number 5 McLaren 720S GT3. So a lot of battles going on further down the field, but I think for a lot of it, it's going to be a slow burner, in all honesty.
You know what, it will be a slow burner in terms of sort of racing, because, you know, obviously the circuit is particularly difficult to race on at the moment, but it's not necessarily going to be about where the racing is going to happen, but rather how good is our man Arkuking, the director for tonight, going to be able to keep up with all the events that are going to occur, because there is going to be plenty of incidents, and that will be the one that makes or breaks people's races here. As long as people keep it nice and cool, nice and easy, they will then be able to make some inroads, as I'm just starting to see maybe a little bit of a push here from Sean Cassar in the Intercomp McLaren. He's now setting close to personal bests at the moment and reining in the man looking to try and take the championship at the moment, Ryan Carabot.
Yeah, I'd love to see if we can potentially get a timing difference between the two of them. So if we switch to Ryan Carabot, we'll be able to see his last lap time. His last lap time, 1:27.757. So if we switch back to Sean Cassar, remember that number, everyone, 1:29.757, 1:29.8. 887. So it seems like Carabot is going out a little bit faster and extended the gap last time around to Sean Cassar, but they're still staying at a very similar amount. Pit window has been open quite the while here, so if you do want to make an early pit stop, you can do now. But of course you will be wearing out your tyres. You probably want to be doing it around about the halfway distance, so that will probably be about the 22-23 minutes to go mark, which is happening in about 8 minutes time. Drive through penalty for Robin Barwen, that's just appeared on our screens, so very, very unfortunate there. He'll have to take that drive through with massive unfortunate events here. He'll drop all the way to what I believe could be maybe 14th behind Nick Ising. Gabriel Quattromani will be absolutely loving to take that place away from, which he has done now.
Yeah, the BMW was not looking confident through turn 6. He was very slow. Indeed was that BMW. So Barven, probably what's happened there is he's lost the rear again somewhere. He's cut a corner, and the game has deemed that he's gained so much time from that. He needs to drive through the pits at a slow speed and take the penalty. So we expect him surely going to be diving into the pit lane right now to serve that one, and that's exactly what the BMW has done, is he slows to a speed of 50 miles per hour, and it's going to feel like an age driving through what is actually quite a very long pit straight. Quattromani now into the top 10 though. As a result of that one is the number 95444 Rust-Ease Ferrari, but he has got let's be honest, quite a long distance between him and the Lizard Racing team driver of Dominic Zimmerman as he goes wide, actually going through turn 1. Does Quattromani go actually Zimmerman's all the way already at turn number 4. He's in a bit of a no man's land at the moment. It's a characteristic of Dominic Zimmerman throughout the season. You don't really see him in a massive amount of racing. Always seems to be in a bit of no man's land, but it's the effort of a consistent man. Is that Lamborghini now up to P8 as he tries to close down on Maya Lafurla? Where is Lafurla actually in comparison to James Smith? Because we know at one point them two were racing pretty closely. In fact, James Smith, after making that one mistake, has actually pulled a bit of an edge now on Maya Lafurla, and she's now opening up in a bit of a no woman's land at the moment in P7 as the gaps begin to also widen once again as the pit window, as we said, has been open, but we're expecting people to be pitting probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Indeed, we'll have to see how that all kind of works out in terms of the pit stops, because they're going to be pretty important in terms of, you know, fuel. And remember, it will be difficult because you know these drivers will not be using the same amount of fuel that they normally use. You're not burning through because of the the early braking you're having to do, the slow applying of the throttle. You're then probably going to have to use less fuel. they're almost in just survival mode, it seemed. Dominic Zimmerman in that Lamborghini Huracan. He has made his way into the pit stop, and the driver that is currently sitting 5th in the Drivers' Championship with no top fives, but 5 top 10s. It's not looking too bad for him. Still trying to work through some of the the carnage that is happening all around him. Gabriel Quattromani again seem pretty, I'd say, there in PA. Let's have a look. Maybe looking further up here, maybe at the likes of Denzel Agis and Mark D'Agostino, because they were looking pretty close there. And what I thought was the McLarens not working pretty well, they seem to be doing so for some, because we see Cassard, Agis and D'Agostino in 3rd, 4th, 5th. There goes Dominic Zimmerman, now just rejoining the racer in his Lamborghini Huracan. He'll be right at the back of the grid. We'll have to see how he can fight his way through, but yeah, Agis doing a pretty good job in his McLaren. It's still miles ahead of Mark D'Agostino, which is going to be a big pointer for him, but I don't know if he'll be able to fight for that podium. They just seem on another level, and when we've had a season where you've been 7th, 4th, 2nd, 4th, you're really hoping to just grab another podium just at some point during the season.
Yeah, just keeping a firm eye on Nick Ice at the moment as well. He's currently actually battling with Chris Gatt. Chris Gatt actually managed to make the move on Nick Ice. The highest rated Lizard Racing Team driver now as a result of Zimmerman having to serve that drive-through penalty is now Johan Borge up into P10, as it looks like here Chris Gatt is actually going to get re-overtaken by Nick Ice going through into turn 1. It's a great exit actually from Nick Ice, but is he going to be able to hold the position? Is he going to go a bit wide going through turn 1? We've seen a few people go wide through here. He has gone a little bit wide, and that's allowed Chris Gatt to get the switch back on at turn number 2, the Andretti hairpin. Nick Ice will then look to try and dive down the inside line through here, but the McLaren should have this one no issue. The remain line astern, but the traction should be available for the person on the inside, and I think Nick Ice has just decided his battle for the Chris Gatt is over for now. Johan Borge, as I said, the leader of the LRT drivers, but all of them are now sort of hugging each other down at the foot of the field.
We'll have to see how that all kind of all works out here. Less than 20 minutes left to go in the pit window, so still many opportunities for these drivers to just jump in. And I just wonder, if you may be one of the leaders, do you want to be doing it early, or do you want to be leaving it as late as you possibly can? I think if you're maybe the likes of Ryan Carabot, you'll definitely want to be going early, but Adrian Manduka is gone. He's right up the road and looking as strong as ever. He's coming into the corkscrew behind. That seems like Simon Barbara. The blue flag is being waved, and remember, oh my word, that is bunny hopping.
Wow.
From Simon Barbara. You may want to check the floor on that one, lads. I wonder if, I won't be surprised if it has a massive crack on the bottom of it. That was absolutely massive. He's even coming in as well. Barbara's even coming in as well. This is Daryl Martinelli and Gabriel Quattromani side by side. Martinelli was trying that outside line. They go underneath. There's contact between the two, and that's off into the gravel. Daryl Martinelli, Johan Borge will go and try and avoid that as quickly as possibly can. Do not do what I did at a sim race and try and wait for the person that you were going past. You might just get turned across the nose them and get collected by them. Trust me, I would know. That's going to be Cassar and Carabot in. Two big names in this one, making their stops early. Mark D'Agostino also in. Are they trying the undercut? And that means Agius will be still staying out here in P2.
Johan Borge in P9 still battling with the likes of Quattromani and Martinelli here. I think we're going to go back to P9 for the over 40s club driver. He was actually in a bit of a battle with Quattromani, but actually he's now in a battle with Martinelli down in P10 here. This is a strong battle here. Now we should be expecting pit stops imminently from these drivers, but now the over 40 club is a quick correction there for Johan Borge. I did say it was LRT, but it's the over 40 club, of course, alongside James Smith, who is now to P3 before the pit stops obviously happen. Martinelli trying to close down on Johan Borg here as D'Agostino leaving the pit lane. The Ferrari looking like he's got the power going out of the corners, but the traction is just not there. You can see there is D'Agostino leaving the pit lane. Just keep a very firm eye on where he's going to come out in this one as well. It looks like he's going to tuck in behind Martinelli, and what is now going to be a four-way battle here as well. Correction, that doesn't look like it was D'Agostino. Who was that who left the pit lane? I wonder here. I think that might have been... oh, that's a little bit of a mistake from Johan Borg. It was Isaac Barbara, sorry, who has now got a stop-and-go 30-second penalty to his name as well. Looks like he's sped in the pit lane.
Yeah, that's going to be massively unfortunate for Simon Barbara. His day is pretty much done at this race. No kind of changes in the track temperature either, as Adrian Manduka has decided to pit this time around. So it wasn't kind of leaving any risks on the table of potentially being undercutted. Just over 21 minutes left to go. You know, you did really want to let that stay and that become an increasing risk. He'll now try and make his way out of the pit lane. He'll probably drop now behind Maya Lafella, but then he'll be back on his way. We now see Daryl Martinelli struggling through the conditions of Maya Lafella. Will look to be, I think, in front there of Manduka. They'll come out pretty much side by side and on towards the next sequence of corners. Who will come out first in that one? I think that's going to be what seems to be the Ferrari, and it is indeed the two product of Ursio cars. In fact, there were three at one point in that picture, but yeah, it looks like the McLaren is now going to be the car between the Ferrari and the Ford Mustang.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see where the late pit stoppers are going to come out in all of this as well, actually, because these battles here are all going to be sort of battling with each other later down the line. But of course, the tyre degradation may not be as prominent on what is now not just a wet but a very cold track out there at the moment in California. We'll go back up to Denzel Agius in P1, please, if you don't mind, because it'll be interesting to see where he is on circuit in comparison to everyone else. He's still going on. He still hasn't made his pit stop here, nor has James Smith, for that matter. Where is he at the moment? Is he diving into the pit lane, or is he deciding to carry on? We'll see. Yeah, he's also carrying on as well. So where is Adrian Manduka in all of this one? I believe, if my math works out right, he should be approaching the final corner, and he is so in this one. So Maya Lafella just entering in the pit lane. If this carries on here, Manduka's actually going to find himself getting pretty close to the likes of James Smith and Denzel Agius within the next, I would say, 5 or so minutes. So James Smith and Denzel Agius should be making their pit stop soon. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves an entire pit stop behind the champion, the race leader at the moment, as Barvan has also got himself, what I believe, unless I'm not mistaken, is that another 30-second stop-and-go penalty?
Yeah, that's just appeared up, and he's already into the pit lane as well. So I don't know if that was maybe for corner or track extensions, or if that was maybe something else. But yeah, it looks like he's into retire. Unfortunate day there for Robin Barwin. So he will now clock down as a DNF, his second DNF, where he got one in Ricardo Tormo. He wasn't entered into Paul Ricard either, so it's been a dismal season for Robin Barwin, who's only collected 27 points, and that will not extend any more during this one, as we now continue to watch the race leader, or the net race leader, I should say, Adrian Manduka, as he heads in towards the corkscrew. And again, just continuing to really mount a bit of pressure onto this championship. But is it too little, too late? Is the big question in this one. I think that if he'd hoped for maybe a second place in Barcelona, and if he got that, that would have just closed the gap up a little bit. We now see Denzel Agius and James Smith now in the pits lane, as well as Gabriel Quattromani. But yeah, these are the two pit stops that need to be made with less than 20 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they've decided to make that pit stop, because Manduka was getting perilously close, actually, in this one, and that would have not been particularly helpful. Here's Quattromani leaving the pit lane, actually. That's the man in P11. He is a lap down. Blue flags don't mean you have to give the position up, but no doubt Quattromani isn't going to give Manduka any kind of pressure. And you can see there, Manduka making the move. No issue whatsoever now up and past the man currently now down in P12. Where is Ryan Carabot, actually? This is the bit that I'm interested in here, because Ryan Carabot, where is he? He is just going around turn number 4. So he is quite a ways away now from Manduka. Sean Kasari is also quite a ways as well from Ryan Karabot. Quattromani getting out of the way there. There, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is Sean Kassar. Where is he now? Let's just go to Sean Kassar, just to clarify. Yes, that is Sean Kassar. So, once again, these drivers, such a large distance between all of them at the moment at the front of the field. And it looks like the main battle is actually in the midfield at the moment. It looks like I'm thinking James Smith, I'm thinking Chris Gatt in there as well. Where is and Agius and D'Agostino? So that is a pretty close battle, actually. Actually, is that D'Agostino in front of Agius? I think it is. Has Agius made a mistake?
He might have done so, and if that's going to be...
Yeah, he's
someone's
off
in the back. Run. Oh, that's going to be massive. Oh, that's going to be massively interesting. Again, Davis. Oh, well done. That is going to be... That's the challenge for fourth place. May have been done and dusted. Nicholas Gronhold with a drive-through penalty as well. That's going to be mighty disappointing. My Lafella in the pits. Gabriel Quattromani making their stop. D'Agostino may have just sealed up fourth place here. The man who DNF'd last time out at Barcelona now finds himself putting on potentially 16 points on the board for him. Daryl Martinelli on the chase here for Johan Borg. They've been battling all race along.
Nice drive-through penalty, as you rightfully mentioned there. Disappointing from LRT. They've had an absolute LZRT, I think, actually, isn't it, for them? They're having an absolute stinker of a race here at Laguna Seca. But Adrian Manduka has done everything he needs to try and keep this championship perfectly alive here. Is the rain actually falling a little bit harder now as well, which is just not good at all. Adrian Manduka has done everything that he can. The problem is that Ryan Karabot is having a pretty decent race in terms of damage control.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that one. He's doing a fantastic job. He did kind of have a bit of early pressure there from Sean Kassar. Kassar tried to go around the outside, on the inside, at the opening corner at turn number 1, but unfortunately wasn't able to. That's going to be potentially a challenge that Kassar will live to regret not fighting a little bit harder for, but what could have come of that if he did try and stick his nose into some places where that car wouldn't have been allowed to go here. We look back again with Borg and Martinelli. The rain really is coming down properly. I think there's also, I was going to say, a bit of gusting of wind there. And there goes Johan Borg wide and on towards the left-hand side, and Martinelli has decided to sweep, has gone and swept on through. Denzel Agius, who's made another pit stop, it seems, it's dropped all the way down to 9th. Massive moment there for Denzel Agius, because that is not what he wanted, especially being 4th place in the championship.
Answers on a postcard, folks, of what's happening with Denzel Agius. He's just not found any comfort at all at this second phase of the race here. I think maybe with the tyres extremely cold. I mean, track conditions have not got any warmer, but one thing is for certain, I do think it's wetter out there. It does seem like track conditions have not improved. If anything, they are getting worse, and I think people are probably just finding no comfort out there at the moment. The only person that's looking anywhere near as comfortable at the moment is Adrian Manduka. He's just driving around, floating around, even swimming around this circuit. Absolutely no issues whatsoever. He is so comfortable out there, whilst people are missing apexes like the man behind him. That was Daryl Martinelli going wide. Adrian Manduka hitting every apex, no issue whatsoever. He is loving it out there at the moment in his boat that is labelled with a Ferrari.
Yeah, of course, really trying to work out those conditions. It's never easy whatsoever. You can train a million days in the rain and it still will not be easy in at the slightest. There'll always be something on each individual track, and they're all just trying to work out what is the best way around at this one. But he's really commanded his way in this race with 13.5 minutes to go. I think he can maybe just drop the power a little bit in that car, because he's gone through batter markers. Karabot is all the way right down the road, and he's now just in a very solid place now. It's just kind of controlling that pace, working out what is the best way to survive these next 13.5 minutes. Someone I really kind of want to talk about is the two Aston Martins of Smith and Borg there. they've been really competitive this season. They've been fairly competitive this season, but this race they've really just kind of upped the levels. They look to be on for a combined total of 25 points. They got 23 at their best back at Spielberg, and if they can get 25, that would just kind of elevate them that little bit more after a very big result. And that is, I think, exactly what they're going to be hoping for. Of course, they're not going to be done whatsoever, because you see there, Johan Borg is going to be chased by Denzel Adjus, who we know is very quick. Yes, he's had a bit of a bad day and a bit of a knock to the system, but you can never fault Denzel Adjus in whatever race he is racing in, whatever game he is racing in. No matter what car, he'll always be one to push on forward. And there is Ryan Carabot approaching this one as well.
That's too wide, yeah.
He is gone.
Oh, wow. Yeah, just Johan Borg, getting a little bit precarious on the brakes, I think, a little bit there, wasn't he? And just invited Carabot now to just get the move done, and obviously under blue flags, keep the P2 man out of the way. The over 40s club going a little bit too aggressive. I want to make one point clear as well here, Adam. Zimmerman, I don't know where he's come from here. Remember, he had a drive-through penalty at one point here, but the Lizard Racing Team driver is up to P6 out of nowhere in the Lamborghini. It must have had an absolute blinder of a second stint here, because he's just navigating the circuit, absolutely no issue whatsoever. Can we just have a quick look at Manduka again, because I just want to look at the last lap time actually excuse me, from the man, and I can't actually see it, unfortunately. The stream on my side is pretty poor. So we'll get a relook at that one, I'm sure, imminently. But Manduka looking particularly strong out there at the moment, and I think Zimmerman's pace is not too far off of the actual race leader's pace here, maybe a few tenths or so, because he's flying out there if he's managed to get back up to P6 after a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that all kind of works out. I'm just trying to put some results on the board at the moment here, so just trying to work out everything and all the point systems. I've got my own little kind of Excel spreadsheet, but yeah, we'll have to see what this all comes. But yeah, really big moment here for Zimmerman. This is going to be his first top four, well, I was going to say first top 5 of the season, but again, he's kind of regained his form of what seems to be 6th place. So this is going to be equal to his best finish from Spielberg and Paul Ricard. So the pace has been there in the Lamborghini Huracan, and of course, I don't know about you, James, but I'm guessing you may have seen some of the pictures and the sounds of the brand new Lamborghini that is going to be new for this season. And all I'm going to say is I'm going to miss this V10 a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's the V10 is always an absolutely glorious engine, but we all have to, even our hardcore racers will just have to accept the V10 is a bit of an outdated engine, isn't it? It's a gas guzzler. It doesn't really have as much power in comparison to a good old V6 or a V8 in comparison anymore, and the fundamentals of it is that it's heavier as well, so it's going to be a shame. But nonetheless, the V6 and the V8 power units now are just so powerful now that the V12s and V10s are just, an era of a bygone age, as we're just watching Denzel Adjus finally getting his rhythm together down the inside of turn number 1, and then in the inside into turn number 2 at the Andretti hairpin. He will keep the apex no issue, and the over 40 club driver Johan Borg now relegated to P9, and in fact it might also be P10 here, because Chris Gatt is looking particularly strong in this first sector here, as he's actually continuing to put the pressure on the Aston Martin, and in fact gets the move done at all. In fact, no, pardon me, that's not Borg, that's Cassar looking to lap drivers. He is so far back in comparison to P2 and P1 at the moment. It looks like Adrian Manduka is just managing his own race pace, but fair play to Ryan Carabot. This Ford Mustang is not an easy car to drive in these conditions, and he's still maintaining a very solid P2, if albeit quite a significant way back from Manduka.
Yeah, it's going to be a kind of a management process all throughout the next 8.5 minutes there. But Daryl Martinelli really rushing up to the back there at Brian Carabot. This is a battle position. That is a battle for, well, lapping. You see the blue flag out there to, I think, give Gabriel Quattromani an idea of what is going to be happening in the moment, and that is that he is about to be lapped. Unfortunately, the Lightning McQueen caped car is going to have to be put down the field. There is Simon Barbara, who's moving right the side for both of those Ferrari cars. Yeah, it's been pretty impressive so far for what a lot of these drivers can do. You know, the survivors have swam, and unfortunately the non-survivors have kind of drowned here, unfortunately for them. But yeah, there's some more battling going on here, and Sean Cassar is going to try and just maneuver his way through some of this traffic. He's hoping to try and latch onto Ryan Carabot, but that's being proved to be a difficult task, I think, for Sean Cassar. It's maybe just a stretch too far for the McLaren that has been, you know, second to none for his kind of caliber, but he just hasn't been able to match the kind of the pace of both Manduka and Carabot, and I think he'll just need kind of a bit more effort during the off season. You know, some of these drivers do have busy schedules outside of league racing, but you know, they do try and find the time to get that little bit of preparation in, and that kind of maybe means the decision's kind of similar to what will happen tonight. You know, normally it's Ryan Carabot that comes out on top, but for the second time this season he's having to hand over a victory to Adrian Manduka. And it really just in swings like this way and that way. But that's Errol Martinelli off in the corkscrew, I believe. Yes, it is. So he dropped it on the inside of the left hander of the corkscrew. That's going to be unfortunate. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I think that maybe with another season, Sean Cassar can be on the level here of Ryan Carabot, but you know, maybe not this season. That's going to be a big kind of haul to try and get up to, as he's about to pass Denzel Adjus. It's not what's the we usually see him in a Lexus on the Gran Turismo, but yeah, in the McLaren today, and that's kind of not what he's going to be wanting after tonight.
Wow, that is just so rare to witness here. You expect Denzel Adjus and Sean Cassar to actually be racing with each other. In that scenario, Denzel Adjus was actually giving up the position to Cassar based on the fact that he's now a lap down. He was lapped by Sean Cassar, and that is just such a rare sight to see. But it's just the nature of this particular circuit in the wet. California has brought us what has been a very interesting race, and actually has shown the strengths and the weaknesses of the drivers here tonight, and has cemented Manduka as a driver who is just absolutely... Oh wow, is that Adjus going for a bit of a spin there? I think actually it looks like he was definitely losing the rear was Adjus, and he spun out. Look at that. It's going from bad to worse for the man who is he beached on the curves as well? No, he's not. He looked like he were beached. Maybe temporarily there, but either way he gets the move done, and he's actually just been Isaac Barbara has just actually, sorry, I keep saying Isaac Barbara because I'm used to the V1 Malta series, as is it Sean Barbara, I believe. He's looking to try and get that move get unlapped rather by Adjus, who is now really not finding any comfort at all out there at the moment. But yes, Martinelli up to P8, he's chasing down Johan Borg himself, but look, Johan Borg, decent race actually, and you know what a fabulous race this has actually been from the Over 40 Club. And if the Over 40 Club has got anything to go by, experience means everything, with just a little bit under 5 minutes to go.
Yep, I'm having to just slot in for Johan Borg. The fact he is going to potentially finish 7th, and this would mean a massive 26 points for Aston Martin. Again, that will be an absolute joy for the Aston Martin team. Again, if you want to know what the weather looks like for the next 30 minutes, it's still going to be raining here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. So do not expect any kind of changes soon. Expect kind of a bit of a stalemate for the next 4 minutes, but I think someone who's not going to be feeling stale after this is Adrian Manduka. Whilst he may be feeling his virtual car may be feeling a little bit soggy after this one. For sure there will be quite the smile on his face, but with 2 rounds to go, you know, there's going to be a huge 60 points up for grabs, and if that title is still on the line, I think that's where his mentality is going to go. He's going to kind of move on from this one, and then maybe the next stage focus on what is going to be hopefully a championship charge, because you know he has dropped a couple of points this season, finishing third a couple of times, 3 times in Zandvoort, Paul Ricard, and Barcelona, and I just wonder if you know one of those may mean that he misses out the championship by maybe less than 5 points, which would have equivalent to if I just past Sean Cassard once in either of these rounds, that would have been it for me to seal the title. But he's off to a good start. But maybe he can maybe crown himself in the American stages. Karabot kind of wins the European leg in this one, but he can take the American legs.
Oh, with just about 3 laps to go, including this one, then, if my math makes it all add up correctly. Manduka has just been absolutely fabulous. He hasn't put a foot wrong throughout this entire race. In fact, I think if there's anything that you can try and criticise him for, was the fact that he went wide at turn 1 point. That's about it. He's been absolutely fabulous in that Ferrari, and he's been brilliant to watch from start to finish. And he's just maintained everything to his own pace. He's been faster than everyone else by considerable margin. He's just maintained this pace, and Project Aversio are going to be extremely happy in the knowledge that they've got him in the in the paradigms of racing when the rain falls, because he has just maintained all pace as the Maltese man, and he's been fabulous throughout this season, and he's definitely doing everything that he can to continue on with the pressure. As in fact, he's setting lap times around about 7/10 slower than his best lap, but he doesn't need to put that much pace. Oh, there's a mistake. And is it a mistake? No, it's perfect. He's going for the wider line. Manduka's been great. This is fabulous from him. Brilliant.
Yeah, hopefully there's no kind of showboating going on, because showboating can lead to a little bit of we've seen I'm sure you've seen, James, where showboating can go very, very wrong, and it can become very costly. So that's the last.
There's a few compilations of that, Adam. There's a few compilations of that, and it's not pleasant to see.
No, it's absolutely not. So last thing we need is one of our own drivers doing that. That'll be lovely on the YouTube compilations at the end of the year.
We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want our drivers to end up on a compilation of showboating going wrong. What is it, volume 17 by a random YouTuber, or maybe we end up on a compilation of commentary perfectly cut or something. If they come across the line and then losing the race win after winning by over 30 seconds, I believe, as it stands. I believe he'll be starting his last lap as he comes across towards turn number 11, and as I said, starting his last lap for what has been an absolutely perfect race from the Maltese man.
Yep, he will start this last lap with just 35 seconds to go, and Adrian Manduka has been an absolute man on form. Let's have a quick look and see what everyone else is doing around, because Mark D'Agostino has had an absolute awesome race. There is Ryan Karabot. He is, quite a couple of miles in front of Sean Cassard. I don't think there's going to be any battles going on over there. Let's have a look further, maybe a bit down to Mark D'Agostino in P4, because he is in for a fantastic finish. Again, very, very little around him in his McLaren racing car. He's really aimed in these conditions. A big shout out to 6th place Dominic Zimmerman. He's on for his best finish of the season, and how good is that going to be? He's just in front there of Sean Cassard, so he's obviously going to be trying to work the wheel. Borge Martinelli, Denzel Adjus, he's had a bit of a difficult race on this one. He'll finish ahead of Chris Gatt, and the McLarens just haven't quite been there. 9th, 10th, 11th, but they've had and also 14th as well to add Sean Cassard and Mark D'Agostino 3rd and 4th. But we'll have to switch back up to our race leader, because he's going to be very, very soon coming across the line. 2 corners left to go. Adrian Manduka came into this weekend 25 points back in the title race. Well, with 3 rounds to go, he is looking to try and change the tides over in the US leg. It's stage 1. Adrian Manduka wins the Laguna Seca, and that could reignite a championship hunt. But with his championship rival Ryan Karabot coming across the line in P2, that gap is only going to get shut down by only 6 points. But is that a crucial 6 points that he needs? We'll have to do the maths maybe off camera. with Sean Cassar finishing home in third, but a big result here for Mark D'Agostino, one of multiple drivers achieving their best finishes in the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. He's only got a couple of corners left to go, and this will be a big finish for McLaren. This may even wrap up the team's championship. McLaren, Ferrari, Ford, Aston Martin, Lamborghini, BMW and Porsche all involved in that, with McLaren with a huge hunk of 368 points. That will just continue to extend and extend. Dominic Zimmerman as well, I think he's already in the garage as well. He's gone into sixth place. That's two big finishes, but Aston Martin are going to have an absolutely almighty finish. It is fifth and seventh for the British-based team, and the flares are flying in absolute unison. It is brilliant to see here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, 11 seconds in the end, the gap between the front two. But what a great effort from the over 40 club there as well. That over 40 club have only got to manage to get themselves a good chunk of points themselves. And it just goes to show, I said it earlier on, what happens when you're in part of the over 40 club. You suggest that you've actually got all of the experience you need to be racing in monsoonal conditions here in California. What a great effort from them, and a great effort though from Adrian Manduka, showing that he's not going to, despite the fact he's got a good points deficit between him and the championship leader, he does not care. He will do everything that he possibly can regardless. A great effort though from Karabot, and a great effort to defend from this one as well. He might have lost a bunch of points, but it's a really good effort nonetheless to damage control on that particular incident. Great stuff, great race actually from that.
Yeah, I don't think that Ryan Karabot will be all too worried about kind of what's happened tonight. He may have kind of gone into there thinking, yeah, you know, I'm not the best in the rain. You know, this car does struggle a little bit, and I think he's kind of accepted that and really limited the damage. And that's exactly what you need to do in positions like that, where, you know, things might not go your way. Things might genuinely not be able to. Might not be able to make it work for one race weekend, and that's okay. You know, he's had his stumble at Ricardo Tormo when he finished for the first time off the podium. Let's hope that, you know, for his sake, he won't want to do that ever again. But, you know, he's in such good form. You know, where can you fault him? That's kind of the you know, his second best results. He's had, you know, 3 results here. He's had a first, which he's done 4 times. He's had second, which he's done now once, and a 4th place. You know, this is a guy still completely on form. You know, that won't really, you know, he will look at that and just think, you know, this is still mine.
Yeah, it's a good effort, that one, nonetheless. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what the rest of the Americas stint is going to bring to us, because, of course, straight after this one, we head over, I believe, to Watkins Glen, if I'm not mistaken, for the international layout. And Watkins Glen, another fabulous circuit here in the Americas. And will the question be, will Manduka, in all of this one, continue with this good form? Is he going to be the king of the American circuits, and is he going to put a late charge in? And will the championship leader himself actually drop more points than just P2? Because if he does, I could invite the man Manduka straight back into this one. Watkins Glen next week, before, of course, we wrap it all up. Where else but the circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas?
Yeah, I think Watkins Glen is going to be very interesting. You know, so many challenges around that circuit. It is completely different to what Laguna Seca is. Pretty, I wouldn't say flat, but, you know, there's still a bit of elevation as well in that circuit. You know, that you got those really fun first kind of, well, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be absolutely mega, that long straight, and it's going to be up to anyone really to take the victory on that one.
Yeah, should be an absolute cracker. Thanks for being alongside us for this one, Adam. It's been a really good one. Looking forward to the next one over in Watkins Glen in just a week's time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can also thank our collaborators, Hyundai, Intercomp, Monsters Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and the Specialist. 2 rounds to go. 60 points left on the board, and 2 drivers are going to be tussling it out for a championship. We're going to be having a first-time champion who will be going alongside Sheldon Muscat at the ACER Malta GT3 champion. We'll have to find out in a week or two's time. We'll see you just after this on the other side in next week at Watkins Glen. Take care.